Hey y'all, hi. Here's the situation. It's Friday. It's the end of my workday. I've run over. I've worked too late, and Ellie and Eric are coming over for dinner. I want to film new makeup hot takes right now because I really don't want to work through the weekend. I've been making a massive effort to stop doing that for my health and sanity, but I have less time than usual to film new makeup hot takes. So I had to make a what do they call it in Sprots? A game time decision. I had to make a game time decision about how I was going to handle this. And what I chose to do was to start filming without looking at the announcements, the posts, the trend mood. You know, we're flying blind. And the last time I did this, it went badly. And I swore that I would never do it again. I will try, okay, to pull it together. I think that there's a chance if it goes well, you're going to be getting some raw, hot takes. And, you know, I'll do my best to make sure that I don't spout misinformation and act a fool, which is the risk when I do no research. But if I remember, little to no research is actually the foundation of a true hot take. Should we have the definition? We haven't had it in a while. In journalism, a hot take is a piece of deliberately provocative commentary that is based almost entirely on shallow moralizing in response to a news story, in this case, a beauty news story, usually written on tight deadlines with little research or reporting and even less thought. So we're going to be all thought. I'll try to put extra thought into it to balance out the fact that little research or reporting is an understatement in this moment. If this is your first time to my channel, then hold on to your hats. I'm Hannah. I like makeup. This is a beauty channel. It's in the beauty community, but I try not to promote overspending. So when I'm looking at new makeup releases, I'm often looking for a reason not to buy the thing rather than a reason to buy the thing. And if that sounds good, I hope you'll subscribe. Now, let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. Okay, so we're going in reverse chronological order from what's at the top of Trend Mood 1, which is the Instagram account that posts about new makeup, scrolling down until I run out of time, basically. And I like to just talk about stuff that I feel like is even worthy of being mentioned. So we're skipping ColourPop in Target. We're skipping JLo skincare. I'm already feeling tempted to skip kits, to skip all the kits. I mean, should I just give like a hot take on kits, holiday kits? Here's my hot take on kits. Once in a while, one will come along that's a great fit for you. This is how I feel. Okay, so I'm saying you, but I really mean me, and maybe you'll identify with this. I'll just talk about myself. Once in a while, a kit, like a bundle of minis or a bundle of full-size products at a deal or something like that, once in a while, one will come along that I know is a really good fit for me. All the products are products I was thinking about buying myself. All the products are products I was probably gonna buy someday. It's a bundle that includes something that I know that I really like and I've used it up, and I'd love to have it again, and it feels totally worth my money, and because they're bundled together, I'm getting a discount. Once in a while, the stars align and it's like, oh yeah, the math really does add up. What a gift to me from the universe. And then I buy the thing. But way more often than that, I look at a kit and I'm like, wow. And I have like the stars in my eyes or like the cha-ching or like the glitter hearts popping. You know what I mean? I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's just what I've been waiting for. And then I just put on my critical thinking brain for like a minute and I see that the math doesn't add up. It's like there are a lot of things in the kit that I would never have bought. They're all minis and I actually don't really enjoy minis because they're so dinky. The formulas are all ones that I was interested in trying, but none of the colors are right for me. And when any of those things are true, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to get colors that you wouldn't have chosen just because you're curious about the formulas, because you're still paying money, even if it's a little less money, you know, even if it's $25 instead of the $35 that it would have cost to buy the product's full price and choose your own colors. Why not just do that? Or better yet, why not just forget about this brand that's trying to tempt you with its minis and its bundles and spend that $25 or that $35 on the thing that's at the very top of your wish list right now, the thing you actually want. That's how I feel about bundles. I have nothing to say about the Trader Joe's advent calendar, but I actually was at Trader Joe's recently. They have another advent calendar. I didn't see the beauty advent calendar there when I was there, and I wouldn't have bought it if I had. I actually think Trader Joe's makes some products that work well. It's just, I don't need, again, a bunch of minis of products that I wouldn't have bought. But in addition to this beauty advent calendar, Trader Joe's has released an advent calendar for cats. Has anyone else seen this? It's just called Advent Calendar for Cats. And it's just treats in the little things. It's just treats. And it was only like $7. So I bought 4 of them. I got one for Sadie and one for Ellie and Eric's cats and one for each of my parents' cats. And even though it's not December yet, I already opened day one for Sadie because she was having a really hard time. And she loved the treat, and she's kind of picky about treats. Okay, I've been filming for 10 minutes and I've managed to not discuss any new makeup releases. How are we enjoying the video so far? Okay, Lisa Eldridge. This is at least something meaty to sink my teeth into. This is a relevant splash on the beauty scene, and I have a lot to say. First of all, full disclosure, because there's already been a lot of business between this Lisa Eldridge collection and me. A lot has already gone down over here, but probably none of it will have gone up on my channel yet. So today's Friday, the day of the release, the day of the launch of these products. Lisa Eldridge has launched powder eyeshadow palettes. I have already filmed Duping the Vibes because I watched her release video and I just was gripped by the passion of 1,000 Burning Suns, but I realized that the passion was like my love of makeup, which is the great thing about Lisa Eldridge. She's so sensitive in her way of wielding pigment and formula, and it's so elegant and appreciative of color, but chic always. And she just shines a light on a certain way of working with makeup and loving makeup that I appreciate so much. So I was really excited because I realized that I could take advantage of that feeling of inspiration before these eyeshadows even launched, just by playing with my own eyeshadows. So I did that on camera, and that video is coming soon. It's like duping the vibes of the Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows. It's not an exact imitation of any of her looks or even of any one palette in particular. It's just me playing with my makeup in light of my excitement about the way that she talks about her makeup, you know? So I filmed that video. We're editing it now, coming soon. And in talking about it, I've already told you a little bit about how this announcement made me feel and how the launch made me feel, right? It's partly just Lisa. Every video she makes, not just the videos about her own makeup that she's created, is inspiring in that way, right? She's always inspiring in that way. She doesn't have to be creating something or selling something to make me feel those feelings. And consequently, I don't have to buy something to take advantage of those feelings, which is what the Duping the Vibes video is about. However, I know you guys want to see me review this. I got so many DMs, but as soon as the announcement came out, I got so many DMs on Instagram. I don't review everything Lisa Eldridge releases, but I am going to review some of this eyeshadow. And I did place an order this morning with the last of my self-sponsored review budget. I actually kind of wiped it out and then some. And I don't know, should I go ahead and spill the beans about the ones that I got, or should I save that for the video? I think I'll save it for the video. You'll have to watch the Lisa Eldridge review video to find out what I got, but I'll tell you, I got 2 eyeshadow palettes for reasons that I have that I'll tell you in that video. I got 2 eyeshadow palettes, and they probably aren't the ones that you think. Why don't you guess in the comments which 2 you think I picked? I also got 1 lipstick. I got one of the new lipsticks, and it is probably the one that you think. So you should all guess. I'm gonna see if anyone can get all 3, the 2 palettes and the lipstick that I picked from the Lisa Eldridge launch. What I'll do that will make sense in new makeup releases is I'll talk about my impressions of her choices in terms of packaging and system, right? The system of these eyeshadows. Because there is a little bit of a funny decision that I'm sure they belabored behind the scenes, and I'm curious to know what other people think about what they decided to do. This is what I'm talking about. These palettes are customizable, right? In that you can click out the pans and put other pans in. So you can mix and match between palettes. You can also buy every single one of the eyeshadows as a single, and you can switch it out for the pans. Obviously, I love that, right? I love my collection of single eyeshadows. I tend to work the most from little custom palettes that I've made myself, just like she describes. So like this is the one that's still going right now. I built this, what was it, like a couple of months ago. Almost every time I've done my eyeshadow since I built it, I've used this at least for the base of the look, and then maybe reached for some other palettes. And you know, this is starting to get a little old. I'll probably dismantle it and put together a new one pretty soon. So the fact that these palettes are designed for that, which will allow me not only to customize a Lisa Eldridge palette, but to take the eyeshadows out and mix them with my other singles and use them as components in my wider ranging multi-brand customized palettes. I love that. I love that, right? I'm so glad that Lisa Eldridge eyeshadows are going to be versatile in that way. It also means you can buy each eyeshadow as a single, which is really great. But the thing that's funny, I think, at least as they currently exist in Lisa's online shop, the palettes are customizable only after you buy one that she has pre-designed. So you can't make your own and buy it that way, right? You can't choose all 6 of your own eyeshadows and then check out for the price of one of these pre-customized palettes. And you can't buy an empty Lisa Eldridge palette. And it just seems like a natural next step. And I can't help but wonder if it's coming down the line. I think maybe there's a reason. Maybe it's about sales, maybe it's about inventory, maybe it's just about simplicity. I think maybe there's a reason that they decided not to launch with that system. It could also be technological, right? It could be that it's just going to be a little bit harder to build that, although, yeah, maybe they want to wait until they've built a palette designer where you can like look at an image of what your palette will look like when you have all 6 of your chosen shades in it, and they just hadn't gotten there yet and they were ready to launch. There might be some reason like that on the back end. But in my mind, the ideal future for Lisa Eldridge Eyeshadow will be that you can go to her website and you can customize your own palette from scratch. Because let me tell you, I think that these palettes that she designed are really beautiful. And I loved hearing her inspiration for each palette and like the fantasy around all the color names and all of that. But the palette that I want doesn't exist. The 6 colors together that I want, it's not any of these. I want like 1 or 2 from 4 different palettes, and I want to stick them all together in my own way for my own purposes. That's not a knock on Lisa. I mean, if anything, it's exciting that she's designed so many individual eyeshadow colors and finishes that a bunch of different ones have compelled me and intrigued me so much that I really want to, put them all together and make my own little Hannah Franken palette. It's just to say that there's customizable and then there's customizable. And currently this release is sitting at 1 level of customizable. And I'm just curious if they'll ever take it all the way to the next level, which is like what Lethal has. The Lethal Cosmetics palette designer, where you can just build your palette exactly from scratch and check out. If we really want to go the distance with guessing my order, let me give you all of the tea. I ordered 2 palettes and 2 singles. So this is what I really want to see. If anyone can guess the 2 palettes, the lipstick, and the 2 supplementary singles. Because I did the most to like be able to create my perfect Lisa palette on camera for you in that review. Formula-wise, I mean, we'll see when they arrive, but the promise of the formulas, which is that they're really easy to blend, is very compelling. The way she described the 2 matte formulas is really, really compelling to me. The way that they looked when she swatched them, especially the one that she's calling Seamless Matte, which she says has a little bit of pearl in it. I love an almost matte, like a creamy almost matte shadow that has a little bit of pearl in it to give it that slip and to make it so it's not dry. I'm very curious. I'm the most curious to see if the palettes will live up to the promises, basically, that she implied when she was demonstrating the eyeshadows and talking about the formulas. So I know in the intro I said I'm always looking for a reason not to buy something, and now the first real makeup that we're talking about is something that I already bought. To be clear, I bought it for review. If I did not have this YouTube channel, I would certainly not have bought 2 palettes and a lipstick and 2 singles. I might not even have placed the order at all. In fact, I think it's very likely that I wouldn't have placed the order at all, especially after duping the vibes and feeling myself so hard with my own eyeshadows that I already own. I know because of having done that I don't need any of these eyeshadows to act on that inspiration and to really enjoy incredible eyeshadow formulas. And depending on the current state of your eyeshadow collection, you might not need them either to do that. But in light of that, in light of the framing of the video, I'll round out this section by saying that little voice in the back of my head, even though I'm all swept up in this and I've already made a lot of content about it and I've just talked about it for like the better part of our young lives, here's what the little voice in the back of my head keeps saying about this. It's probably just eyeshadow. Lisa Eldridge sells the fantasy in such a genuine way. And I think that's because she is so genuine, right? She's not trying to sell the fantasy. She just has an actual fantasy for sale, that comes from her because she's an artist and she's such a special person. But her release video really led me to temporarily believe, feel in this fundamental way, that these are eyeshadows that transcend eyeshadow, that there's something truly beyond, never before seen, highly engineered. It's how I felt every time she's released anything. Remember the first True Velvet lipstick release? I was doing handstands, pulling my hair out, and then the one lipstick that I ordered arrived, and it is very beautiful, but it's just lipstick. It's really nice lipstick. It's really beautiful lipstick, but it's still just lipstick. It isn't this supernatural, angelic version of lipstick. And right now, having seen the release video, but having not tried the eyeshadows, I'm currently in this in-between space where there's a large part of my brain that is expecting these to be like supernatural, angelic versions of eyeshadow that transcend eyeshadow, that are beyond eyeshadow. They're like eyeshadow in the fourth dimension, boldly going where no eyeshadow has gone before, you know? But my vast experience with wanting, buying, and then receiving and learning the reality of makeup tells me that they're probably just eyeshadow. And I am probably going to discover that on camera and share that with you in the review. So keep an eye out for that. There's some weird color stories coming up on my screen that people are really trying it. I feel like the current Lights Lacquer collection, it's like Christmas plus purple. Is that what it is? Christmas plus teal plus purple. The NIMYA palette, that's Nikki Tutorial's brand. This color story just strikes me as very unusual, like unusual period and unusual for this time of year. Warm neutrals with some very yellow leaning beige, navy blue, cobalt blue, and orange. Is this like so dated that it's fresh? Like everything old is new again? It's striking me. Like I'm finding it very striking and attractive in the way of things that I think have admirable design qualities that I myself want nothing to do with. And then Give Me Glow Cosmetics is doing something kind of similar. It's like these browns with orange and teal, which has Angry Pumpkin stamped in the pan and was released after Halloween. I'm sure that there's just a timing issue on their end. This really, really shines a light on the issue with short seasonal makeup. You know what I mean? It's like this frenzy of Halloween makeup, and immediately the day after Halloween, it's like, it's so 2 weeks ago. Like the top comment on this Trend Mood post says, perfect for 2 weeks ago, crying emoji. Like, oh no, I would have loved to have this, to use one time on Halloween day and then not use it again until next year. But you know, next year there's gonna be a whole other wave of Halloween makeup. I actually think this is a great example of a year-round palette. It literally has winter colors, spring colors, summer colors, and fall colors all together in the palette. You could use it anytime. It could be your one palette, even if you are really wedded to the idea of always wearing only seasonally appropriate colors. And yet everyone's like, why are they releasing this after Halloween? We must open our minds, my friends. What is this shell thing? KALEIDOS! What beautiful branding. It's beautiful and strange branding. And it kind of reminds me of the REM branding, which I loved so much, even though I had no interest in trying that makeup and never did. So I'm here for that. I'm here for this weird kind of kid pics photo collage situation. It's a contour collection. I'm afraid of contour because, as I said in a recent video, I once saw a girl in Ulta with my complexion with some contour on her face and it looked like a stripe of mud. And I've always been afraid to contour since then, although in that self-same video, which was the one where I was following Kaki's makeup instructions, I did try a light cream contour and it did snatch me. So maybe I should venture into contour. Maybe I can do better than that girl in Ulta that time. Wow, I just had a weird feeling. I saw that this KYLIE Wizard of Oz collection and I was like, hands off the Wizard of Oz. I like feel angry that KYLIE is taking the Wizard of Oz IP for herself. And I actually don't have anything to say about that. The feeling is so raw that I'm unable to apply my critical thinking skills to it. I just feel like Kylie's sullying something special. Okay, here we go. Another big fish. The NATASHA DENONA, what's she calling it? The Retro Glam palette. Here's what I'll say for NATASHA. She is really out there doing her own thing and she doesn't care what anyone else thinks. She's like, I'm into this. This is cool. This is beautiful. This can work any time of year. I mean, I'm the one just now who was defending a Halloween palette and being like, you could really use this year round. What are you so fussed about? But the Retro Glam palette, I mean, if it were being released at a different time of year, it would undeniably be serving Easter on a platter. You know what I mean? Or just spring at any time. I don't think it's being marketed as a holiday palette, but I like to think that it's saying the holidays are pastel this year in that retro way. And I can get into that, and I can particularly get into it because I feel like not everyone's saying that. It's just NATASHA DENONA. And her color stories are nothing if not cohesive. So I support it. I actually like the originality and I like the cohesiveness. I'm just such a sucker for a totally cohesive point of view. I'm trying to say that has been followed through on without using the passive voice and also ending the sentence in a preposition. A totally cohesive vision on which the makeup artist who designed the palette has completely followed through. And this is that. It's just unabashedly itself, and it's completely executing on its own brief. I just like that. I prefer that even to a palette that I personally kind of think I might use more frequently than this, because I just have no desire to use this. Like, it's just not for me. Like, in any way, you know? But I still like it better than I might like other palettes that I think I would use more, that just don't have points of view that are as strong, that aren't as curated. It's my favorite thing about NATASHA Denona, the fact that she does that. I actually am kind of getting to a point where I wish she would do it more often in the color space in which I tend to work. You know what I mean? I wish she would do this, but with truly neutral bronze and chartreuse without leaning orange or yellow. Variations on that theme. That kind of makes me want to dupe the vibes. The overhead kind. I haven't done that in a long time. Yeah, imagine that. A video where I look at this, the NATASHA Denona Retro Glam palette, and I build my own palette that has a color story that's as cohesive as this, meaning like the same relationships in value and variety and variations on finish among the eyeshadows, but the actual colors themselves are the colors that I want and not pastel green and pink. I might do that. Oh man, these HINDASH matte fluid pigments look amazing. I haven't tried anything from HINDASH. These are the exact colors that I would choose for this. Maybe the pink would be a little bit more neutral, but other than that, these are the exact colors that I would choose. HINDASH is like after my own heart with this, especially the brown. The light brown. I'll see how it plays out, okay? You know me, I'm always looking for a reason not to buy something, and I've already completely spent, as I already said, my budget for self-sponsored review for the month, so I'll have to wait on getting one of these for review. I'll see how it plays out. They're very pretty. I am following HINDASH's future career with some interest. Oh my gosh, ISAMAYA. If I've been saying that wrong the whole time, I think I heard someone say it a different way recently. ISAMAYA? A new collection that's totally unlike the other one in terms of branding. That kind of fascinates me. Not the direction in which I thought she would go. And you know I love to be surprised. The theme seems to be horses. Horses, fancy horses, fancy holiday horses. The palette I'm not even gonna touch with a 10-foot pole. I reviewed the first palette and it didn't work for me. So I'm not optimistic about the formulas in this eyeshadow palette and how they would work for me. But the lip gloss from the first collection was the one thing that I really, really loved. And the lip colors look beautiful on the models in these pictures. And the cheek thing looks just like that, one of those sticks of grease that stays greasy on the cheeks. I don't really have an interest in that. Again, I've blown my entire budget for self-sponsored review on Lisa Eldridge, so I'm not going to be sweeping in and picking one of these up and being one of the first on YouTube to review it. But I'll follow the future career of these lip products with a little bit of interest. They're really intriguing direction from this brand. I feel like maybe Benefit needs to do more than just years later release 2 new shades of the Dandelion highlight in the same packaging, probably the same formula. It just really feels like 2015 to me. And I think they could have done this in 2015 and they would have sold. It's like you gotta stay a couple steps ahead of yourself. You know you gotta bust out a little. Look at ISAMAYA over there. She's like, collection number 1, bondage. Collection number 2, jeweled horses. And Benefit's like, it's like that Twitter account that posted, I see you quiver within Tissa 1 year, and then like 8 years later posted Patient, you know, finishing the line from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Is that too much of a reach? The most off-the-rails metaphor I've ever come up with on camera? That's just what these feel to me like. It's like 8 years later. Patient. I guess this new Makeup by Mario palette was having a moment because it launched kind of right before the Sephora sale, so a lot of people were like, should I buy it in the sale? I see the swatches here on Trendmood looking photoshopped the house. Like, they just might not be. I mean, it might just be studio lighting, but yeah, they look really shiny. It's just so many pale matte shades, you know? Like, I could take this palette and edit it down. I would take the 2 darkest shimmers and the dark brown, and that's it. Those are the only colors that I'm interested in this palette. So I could edit it down to a little trio. Not me actually yawning while I look at new makeup. There is a pretty color in the new YSL stuff. the Rouge Volupte Shine in shade 122. Actually, they're both pretty. Both of those colors are pretty. Oh, there's a third one that's just a regular red, but 122 and 157, those are pretty. I concede, even though they've also announced a $350 advent calendar, which is probably just full of tiny minis of expensive stuff, and a Couture Clutch eyeshadow palette for $150. None of that interests me. But these two shades, they're pretty. I could probably dupe the vibes in my collection though. Oh my gosh, SIMIHAZE Beauty. I just watched Kaki's scathing review of this brand. And it's funny because I had a moment when I first became aware of it. I saw some pictures online and I clicked through. I was like, oh, this new brand from Sephora with this gorgeous packaging. Like I really love the aesthetic, the chunky silicone. Like I just love it. It looks so fresh and I want to touch it. The colors look okay, but the prices, I took one look and I was like, I can't review this brand. And this was before I even knew about the Lisa Eldridge launch. It would be like me reviewing an entire Chanel collection if I were to get one of each or even just a handful of these products. I just am not set up for that over here. So I regretfully backed off and I was like, I'll just see what everyone else says. And then Kaki released a review absolutely dismantling everything about SIMIHAZE Beauty, and I kind of feel like I dodged a bullet. I think I'm going to leave it there. There might be some other things down below that I haven't talked about, but I feel like that's enough. I think I've almost gotten back to where I left off in the last new makeup releases hot takes, and I have to go get some kind of dinner together. You all, thank you so much for being here with me during this somewhat chaotic new makeup releases hot takes, although I do feel like I delivered, what was it? Deliberately provocative commentary. Although, I mean, it wasn't like only for the sake of provocation. I don't know, were you provoked? You'll have to let me know. In any case, we got through it. And I feel like we kind of had it all. Some heavy hitters from major players, those eyeshadow palettes, some weird color stories and color story themes emerging, little research and reporting. And now it's time for me to go. If you enjoyed this and you're not subscribed, again, please do. Please subscribe. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.